In the days of the judges, there was a man named Elkanah from the hill country of Ephraim. He was a devout man who faithfully worshipped the Lord. Elkanah had 2 wives, Peninnah, who had children, and Hannah, who was barren. Though Elkanah loved Hannah deeply, her barrenness brought her sorrow, for in those days children were seen as a blessing from the Lord. Every year, Elkanah took his family to Shiloh, where the tabernacle of the Lord stood, to offer sacrifices and worship. But though this was a time of celebration, Hannah's heart was heavy with grief. The family gathered at a feast. Hannah sits apart, deep in thought, while Peninnah gloats over her children. Peninnah, proud and boastful, often used Hannah's barrenness to taunt her, adding to her sorrow. Though Elkanah tried to comfort his beloved wife, her pain remained. Hannah quietly rises and walks toward the tabernacle, her heart full of anguish. Overcome with sorrow, Hannah turned to the only one who could change her situation. Inside the tabernacle, she knelt before the Lord and prayed with all her heart, making a vow. Hannah whispers her prayer, tears streaming down her face. The priest Eli watches her intently, mistaking her silent words for drunkenness. He rebuked her, but Hannah humbly explained her sorrow and prayer. Eli softens and blesses her, assuring her that God will hear her cry. With renewed faith, Hannah left in peace, believing that the Lord had heard her petition. And indeed, the Lord remembered Hannah. In time, she conceived and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, meaning, because I asked the Lord for him. She cherished her son but did not forget her vow. When Samuel was weaned, she prepared to fulfill her promise. With a heart full of gratitude, Hannah returned to Shiloh, bringing Samuel to the house of the Lord. She reminded Eli of her prayer and declared her dedication of the child to God's service. Hannah kneels and prays a song of thanksgiving, her face radiant with joy. Hannah's faithfulness was rewarded, for the Lord blessed her with more children. Meanwhile, Samuel grew in wisdom and favor, serving in the house of the Lord. In time, he became one of Israel's greatest prophets, anointing kings and leading God's people with righteousness. Hannah's story is one of faith, perseverance, and devotion. Through her, we learn that God hears the cries of the faithful, and in his perfect time, he answers.